Okay, I think we're live on both of them. Good morning
Good
and welcome
morning.
back to Chet Chats. Give us a sec as we have all you guys filtering in. Yay! I'm getting good at this.
You are. I
Woohoo.
appreciate it. Thank you for always knowing what you to do.
Okay, we're live on both. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello on our Instagram Live. Hello also on Facebook Live where Chet Chats did originate. I hope you guys are having a great morning or early afternoon wherever you are. If you are new here, this is Chet Chats. It is a father-daughter podcast where we discuss any and all the things that come up in my brain, usually topics that relate to everyday life or sometimes just thoughts that I have randomly that I would like answers to. If you are not new here and you have been following Chet Chats for almost 2 years now?
No, this is the second year.
So 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
And 2 years. If you've been following us for 2 years, then you already know what Chet Chats is. But we are always happy to have y'all here with us today. Dad, how are you feeling today?
Thanks for asking. I can't not complain. I appreciate you asking. All is well. But before we get started, we had to give our official sponsor, Lyric Party Gang. People, is an app that can be purchased from the App Store. It's only 99 cents. If you really think you know music after purchasing this app, you might find out that you're not a genius in music as you thought. But please go out and support Lyric Party Gang. It's our official sponsor. But also, before I get started, I'd like to give Nerdy Urban Clothing a shout out. They sent me a t-shirt to wear today for today's show. So, I'm a nerd. So
find them on Instagram as well, I'm sure, too. Cool.
Absolutely. So what's happening in your world?
I mean, always much, but not much all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Today's topic, though, is actually brought to us by one of our Facebook followers who has been following us for a long time, and I think a friend of yours from way back when, not to date you or age.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
But,
and you might want to not date him as well. So.
But I do want to give a shout out just because here at Chet Chats, yes, a lot of the topics that we do discuss are topics that I come up with, but we do take topic suggestions from any and all people. If there's something that you guys would like us to discuss that's on your heart, on your mind, please always feel free to go ahead and leave a comment or DM us about it. But this conversation topic that was picked by Mr. Frank, I'm going to read it to you because I didn't write it down. I don't want to butcher his question.
Okay.
So it is, what message was God sending the world when coronavirus made us slow down and rethink everything?
Wow, that's heavy.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
And I think it's an important one
yes,
after the year we had.
Where would you like me to start on that? What part? Because everybody, unfortunately, don't believe in God.
They don't, but I also think that if there is a belief in something, whether it's God, the universe, or there's a belief of some sort. So if it's not necessarily God, I think a lot of times it can be a belief in the universe or a belief that things happen because they just happen. That's still a belief.
Okay, but I'm just sharing with you some people's views. Some people are atheists.
Okay, so then you can take out that one piece.
Okay, we're going to take them out.
Sure.
Okay,
no, not take out the people, but take out the word God.
God.
Okay, so now the question is, then what do you think the message, the universal message
was happening? Mm-hmm. Okay. You always do this. People, feel free to come and help your boy out on the ad because, as always, she picks subject matters that I think are important. Let me see. For me, first of all, I like to tell people, and my personal business on this, I believe in God. I believe in a higher being than I. So I definitely give praise and glory to God. So that's for my personal thing. As far as what I believe he or she, because that's debatable, because and then we're not gonna go down that road. That's a whole nother topic, subject matter on being debated on God's gender. Anyway, I personally believe that it was a time to truly reflect and slow down, because I wonder often, what are we really in a rush for? Honestly, and people, please understand, this is at the time of growing and developing, and I still continue to grow and to develop. However, during that time, I used to be in a rush for everything as well. I want this, I want to do this, I want to go here, I want to do, several different things that were whatever in my mind at the time. However, due to my sabbatical, I learned a lot of times that it's no rush for anything. Now, and that might sound crazy because people had deadlines to meet with certain productivity services and whatnot. However, but why are we still in a rush for that? Because the Earth been around over 1 billion+ years, and normally, if you're lucky, you'll live a small fraction of that, and the world still continue to move forward. And for us to rush, I think we are personally depleting the earth of its natural resources. How do you feel about that? Because that topic goes around because I just think we need a reset, honestly. And it's a great question that Frank asked, and hopefully he on the podcast or whatnot so he can comment. I can't see everybody, but.
Well, I have always lots of thoughts and lots of feels about it. And I've said this when, actually, I think I just said it even before Corona happened. But I am a firm believer that the world does not need us and that we need the world. And in saying that, to go back to, well, the world has existed for billions of years. Right. Before human beings were on the earth was in rotation and it was existing. So for me, I feel as though because the world does not need us, we should do better for the world. Because at any point of time, honestly, like a meteor could hit and then the whole human population is gone. But guess what's still here? The world, and the world is going to continue to function. So as far as what I think the message would be, I do think it is a matter of slowing down. I also say this part too, and I don't want anyone to be confused when I say this next statement because it does raise a lot of eyebrows. But if you really think about life, and I will maybe sound a little crazy with this, but nothing matters in the sense, now I say this lightly, nothing matters in the sense that everything, if you really look at it, is made up. Meaning that at some point in time, people way back century before any of us even existed, they started a pattern and a trend of how life was going to go.
Or should go.
Should go, right.
Okay.
And in that process, it continued to evolve to the point where we are now, where currency is no longer rocks and sticks, but it's now paper money, or it's debit cards, that type of thing. Okay. And where we are no longer walking on foot or riding on horseback, but now we have automobiles, public transportation, that type of thing. And flying, right. Okay. So it's ever evolving. So I say when it doesn't matter, not that life is not important, because I do believe life is important, but it doesn't matter in the sense of it's man-made. It's all made up. But we continue to go along with it because no one has an idea of how to change it to then evolve again. Does that make sense?
Wow, so let me get this straight. Now, doing this, because it's not exactly this what God revealed to you during the slow down process.
I'll circle back to it. But the whole the slowing down process of coronavirus, the message that I think it is a matter of slowing down. It's taking a step back and really thinking of like what is it that is important. And there's a lot of Facebook posts and a lot of just social media posts that go back and that say, from having to stay at home, I've realized that work is not the most important thing to me, but spending quality time with my family is.
And I'm glad you said that because I was with a dear friend the other day, and we were driving, and we talked about this subject matter to a degree as what is truly important. And their answer was the love that you are able to give someone else. That was truly matter. All the material things that they possess, all the wealth, as they call earthly wealth, it doesn't matter because you can't take it with you. I haven't seen anybody yet able to physically take what they accumulated in this world yet to the next life. So, and normally you try to build a better life, sidebar, to give it to somebody else. Because I want to stay on the subject matter because you know how your father go. I go north quick on you. Needless to say, I personally believe it should, not that we needed a bad virus to happen, but we got away from a lot of things when I was even growing up that was kind of dear to me, and it brought more family structure together. Like on Sundays, things didn't used to be open. Only like the gas station and the movie theater, and then normally everybody had family gatherings together. And then you got to know your neighbors perhaps. You got to even know your own family. Because oftentimes with the hustle and bustle that we're currently in, you don't get to meet people. You don't get to know people. You're just following the format that was placed in front of you, and you continue to do it, and hopefully whatever that happiness or self-gratification happens to you, you reach it at some point in time. But I really believe, as me and my friend were talking, love is what I think God, in my personal opinion as well, was trying to say. Slow down. We need to love each other more, because I think a lot of the other things that are currently happening in our society that's not as positive, I think will get redirected in a more positive way if we slow down and start to really care, not only about ourselves as individuals, but others as well. And maybe we care about this earth that's evolving around, because nowhere in the world, in my opinion, we should be having so many stressful issues on each other from lack of something. And when this earth, and what I believe in God, has provided more than enough supplies to give to everybody. I think they said 7 billion accounted people, because it might be some people that hasn't registered in some capacity or not. But I just truly believe that's the message that I received: slow down. Fortunately, to me, this this slow down period was easy because of my sabbatical, because I was like, wow, I get to watch whatever I want, when I want, what time I want, to be in a house with somebody I care for, which happened to be one of my children, you. And and people was getting upset, like, oh, I can't believe we can't go out, so forth and so on. And stop looking at it, they was taking the right away from you, but maybe they were saving you in some capacity. But people in our thoughts get caught up in the hustle and bustle, perhaps, of not sitting still long enough to really reflect on their self and their greater self sometimes.
Definitely. Good morning, everyone. If you're just tuning in, this is Chet Chats, our father-daughter show. Today's topic is, I'm going to cut it short, make it smaller, but the universe's message during the time of coronavirus. Hello, I'm looking at all the comments and everyone who is here with us. We're so happy that you guys are here. As always, though, please feel free to leave your own thoughts, comments, whatever in the comment section, and we can address those as well. But Dad, I agree with you. I think lots of things.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That brain of yours is something special, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, you touched on the part where it's how human beings reacted to things when coronavirus still first happened, and when they first put the mandate that everything was going to be shut down for, I think they initially said like two weeks, and then that turned into 2 months, and then that turned into
basically a year.
Exactly, and it's still going as well. I don't want anyone to think that coronavirus has not gone away, because it is still here, whether they change the mandates and whatnot. It is still very much alive, and children are still very much at risk, as well as older individuals.
Yes, even with the vaccination.
Yeah. Correct. Yes. So please continue to keep not just you safe and your family members, but also those that you don't know, because they are also members of other people's families and also involved in our community too.
Yes. And me personally, Ryan, I think it was, for me, the message was also learning to be more respectful and understanding of other people's understandings. I think it was a time to truly reflect, and please know, people, I know some people honestly suffer hardship financially due to the loss of their business, their jobs, and so please, I'm not saying that for this part of it, because unfortunately that happened in this. I was just basically saying that I think it's time for us to truly reset and find out, what are we in a rush for?
So that
what's the rush?
Takes us to some of these comments that we have. I'm going to read them both from Instagram and also Facebook.
Okay.
But our first one was, the appreciation for the pandemic gave me insight on what's important and what's not. It was a growth period. 1,000%. And then this other comment we have said, everything has an expiration date. I think for a vast majority of us, the coronavirus was awaken a lot of us to the fact. So now we are starting to value family, friends, and time more, as well as the state of our planet as a whole. Yes. To both of them. I agree. I think that this was a period of growth. And like Dad was mentioning earlier, that it caused you to slow down and take a second to reevaluate things. As Dad has also said, we're not on this planet forever. The world is going to continue, but unfortunately we can't live forever. And if we can, I don't know, that would be maybe kind of cool. But because we can't live forever, we do need to take a step back and really think about what is important to us. And like you said earlier as well, we can't take all of our physical possessions with us when we depart. We just take us. So it's a matter of what is important to you. Taking away materialistic things, at your core, what do you value?
Right, and at that particular time for me, I did have a lot of my materialistic things taken away from me for a long period of time. So my value system honestly was changing before the corona pandemic actually occurred in my particular case. And so I just really tell people, like, what is truly important at the end of the day. Is it your loved ones? Is it your family? Is it fame, fortune? I can't speak for each individual that either not even watching this podcast or watching this podcast, but I just know the value system for me has changed dramatically. I do look forward to spending the weekends with y'all more. So I do look forward, and again, it doesn't have to be anything expensive or going out, but just being in each other's presence and really feeling love in that presence. While in that moment, because oftentimes I say people don't really get to live. They live to exist rather than, my favorite slogan, existing to live.
Yep.
And I think this pandemic really put a light on what may be important and what may not be as important.
For sure. And it touches on some of these comments we're getting from Instagram about what they took away from the pandemic. The pandemic helped me appreciate what was important. And then we also have it personally gave me a whole new insight on life and, again, what is important.
So see,
a lot of times there are, and whether or not you believe in God, I also too do believe in God, but the universe, whatever you believe in, there is generally a reason for everything. So while you can look at it as it putting a wrench in your life, I will also just say that I am a planner, so my whole life is generally planned at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Honestly, at the end of the year before to start for the new year. So for me, it was a matter of, wow, everything that I planned for the rest of this year, and also this year has just been for what? For nothing. And so I say that to say that what is happening on a bigger scale is much more important, and there's a whole reason for it than what we can see with the human eye and what we have planned for ourselves.
Yes, and for me, like I said, I took it financially was a hardship, but in the reality, I'm still here. I'm able to still have a place to live, a place to share with you and so forth. So again, I can't speak for those who had it harder during this pandemic, especially the economic part. But we really realize how economics is all made up as well. I mean, that's a whole nother subject, how we always talk about that.
I feel strongly about
so
it.
We're not going to go down that road, but doing our current economic system that we are following, because anything could be traded and bartered, as people could see during this pandemic if they didn't see it before. So it really we based on a bartering system. But needless to say that, I mean, because that's a whole nother subject matter, and we can talk about that another time. But I'm just trying to stick to what you brought up as the topic matter. I just believe it's a wake-up call. I believe that for those friendships and so forth that can be mended, I think it should be mended if possible, especially if deadly harm wasn't done to you, if it was over words, and words are important and they do matter. Needless to say, if you're physically still here, they're still here, maybe those words could be looked at and discussed why y'all had a breakdown in y'all relationships or relationship with each other. And I just think it's time, people, that we start to really revalue our values as it relates, because we have so many things that are going on that's, in my opinion, that can be resolved, that we really don't take the time to resolve it. You know how I feel about homelessness, hunger. These are topic matters, and love one another in each other community. Because when you look at it, at the end of the day, in my opinion, we're all in this world together, whether we want to admit it or not. I know everybody always go with, I'm self-made. I don't believe in that, because that's just my personal belief. I don't believe no person is self-made anywhere. And if you want to go with the poor from the ghetto, that version, brought yourself up from the trench straps, you still didn't do it by yourself. Because if that parent or whoever geared you would have just laid you on that ground as a baby, I don't think you would have been able to fend for yourself to get any type of nourishment to continue to grow. So I personally don't believe in the self-made thing. I used to believe in it because that used to be my thing. I'm self-made millionaire.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a facade, people.
I want to touch on some of these comments really quickly. Hello, Frank, and welcome. this is on Facebook for all who are watching us on Instagram. But Frank is here with us, and this is Frank's topic that he actually commented on for us. So again, that topic, the question that he posed was, what message was God sending the world when coronavirus made us slow down and rethink everything? And I just want to touch on some of these comments that are happening with us on Instagram Live. This one's a little funny, but it did make me feel bad for the students, such as my daughter, who didn't get to experience her proms, although it did save me money. Laughing emojis. And then we also have the comment, definitely a wake-up call. Sit still, enjoy being safe, not stuck, and appreciate what we took for granted. So yes, on all fronts. And I do think, to touch on the daughter's missing prom, which I fortunately was able to experience mine way back when. I feel old now that I say that out loud. But I think that, yes, it is. I feel as though many people, but especially younger children, lost out on a lot of the once-in-a-lifetime type of experiences because of coronavirus. And I do think while it was a miss, we, again, should value it and look at it as, well, at least we are still alive. Because lots of people lost their lives to coronavirus. And if you were vaccinated, the second vaccine that you get, actually, these are vaccines that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but depending on the vaccine, they actually insert the virus into you so that your body knows what to defend off should you actually get it.
Antibodies.
Right. So for a lot of...
Like the flu shot. It's another version of the flu shot.
Exactly. So for a lot of people who got their second vaccine, felt those effects, and they felt awful. And a lot of them, if you talk to them, will say, if this is anything like what the actual coronavirus felt like, then I am grateful that the vaccine does exist. Like myself. It was awful. But I said all that to say that while it's a mindset for a lot of things. So while, yes, it is disappointing that we missed out on a lot of things, and we missed out on opportunities that we thought were going to be great, and I'm not excluding graduation and proms and all of that stuff, because again, I was fortunate enough to experience mine, and I probably would have felt some type of way too if I missed out. But the bigger picture, I think, in all of it is that, one, you're fortunate enough to still be alive and still be living life, because life is very precious and it can be taken at any second. Not just... A lot of people think that, oh, well, I'll just die when I'm old. That's not necessarily the case. Anything can happen at any point in time. So to comment back on the things for not taking things for granted. Life, again, it's precious. It's something that should be cherished. And whether you have all of the pennies in the world or you have 5 of them, we should be appreciative for the fact that we even have somewhere to be and to exist.
Yes, and like I said, Shai, this is a bigger subject matter when you really look at it, because we just... It's always people, we only touching on some of the subject matter. And again, I always state that I don't have all the answers, because I'm a student myself of life. And please feel free to comment whether you agree or disagree. You have your opinion. I should be able to understand it, whether I agree or disagree with it. And I just think as chats continue to evolve, we want to bring issues so we can maybe reformat our current understanding to better understanding for the betterment of this world as it relates. So again, we're not going to always get it on the mark. So if you see me jumping off a pole or something, don't be like, hey, see, I thought he was perfect. No, I'm not a perfect human being. I don't even strive to be perfect, honestly, because that's too much pressure, in my opinion, to be that person. But I do believe that we get awakenings every so often. And whatever that awakening may be personally to you or globally to you, I think you should take heed in that awakening and really hone in on your greatness. Because if you're great, I then believe you will pass that positivity on to making others great. But oftentimes, if you're miserable, this is my opinion, people, oftentimes they say misery loves company. So let's try to redirect it. I know this past year and a half basically now is because I think they locked down in last March sometime.
Yes.
Officially locked down, but I believe it's the actual virus happened in 2019, right? November or October, right? Needless to say, I just think people, we got our wake-up call. And what are we willing to do better? Because the old saying is, when you know better, you should do better. I personally like things to be closed on the weekend so people can spend time with their family. And I know you have to earn money, but as we realize that
everything's made up.
Everything's made up, because they can send us stimulus checks every week. I mean, and that's a whole nother topic matter for people.
Thing.
Right. But needless to say that I believe the weekend should be for the people, each other, so they can get to know their family members better, their grandchildren, their grandmother, grandfather, whatever the dynamics of that household go. I just believe we need to personally slow down, because when you really look in it, what we're in a rush for. And this is a good example, right? You know, because I just flew back in town. And my first flight got canceled. They just canceled it, didn't even tell me. But they put me on another flight. But in my mind, I was like rushing to get back where? You know, honestly, but my anxiety or inner self was like, I gotta hurry up and get back. But I was getting back to come back to work on Monday. I mean, when you really think about it, and I wound up, thank you for picking me up that late early in the morning, but I was in the airport all day. But what I was really rushing to get back for, in the sense, I know I had to be to work on Monday, but in the sense, rushing to get back that fast, and really, my safety should have been first in line. So thank you for the people that got me back here safely and so forth. But you understand, like, I was rushing for what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So you got a comment? I think somebody.
I know they're coming.
Oh,
we
appreciate it. Yes.
If I skip over your comment, it's nothing personal. My eyes. I wear glasses usually.
I definitely like the Wayne comment. If I can say it real clear, we should get back to help people get back to family values. I agree with that.
Then we also have. I would say that God was allowing us to take the time to step back and stop focusing on things, as was stated earlier, and to really recognize where our help comes from. The world does not wake us up every day. God does, and it's time to spend more time with God and getting to know God for yourself.
Oh, that's me. That's our family member.
Love that.
Love that, yes.
I do think, again, we believe in God here in this household, but if you don't believe in God, you believe in something else, the universe, whatever, or if you don't believe in anything at all, that's also okay. No. But I do... in a general sense, I'll combine all the thoughts that I have in my brain, in a general sense that it was a time to, again, recognize what is important to you, what's not so important to you. And I really think that it was a time to appreciate other people's thoughts as well. Because like Dad has mentioned, we don't have all the answers here. We don't agree on everything.
Not at all.
At all.
At all.
A lot of our opinions... they're opinions, and that's just what it is. And I think that a lot of it is, if this has taught us anything, it's that everyone has an opinion, and your opinion is no more right or no more justified than the person who's disagreeing with your opinion, who has a different opinion. So I think a lot of it is, again, we mention this all the time in Chet Shots, but it's going back to conversations with people and having those conversations to listen to them and not to just hear what they're saying and to respond back to them with your point of view.
To defend,
right, and to change
people,
their minds. Right. A lot of people, and this is a complexity of human beings, which again, I could talk about for hours on end, but a lot of people in their minds believe that what they have to say is so much more important than what anyone else has to say. And not in a matter of me trying to convince you of my thoughts, but my thoughts are right, yours are not.
Right.
Right.
And I don't agree with that.
Right. And that's not, and I don't agree with that either, that's not how it is. So, right. So I think if we take one thing away other than reevaluating our values as human beings, it's that we should continue to be kind to one another. We have no idea what anyone is going through. A lot of times you see people and they aren't wearing all of their issues or their baggage that they're carrying with them on the outside. A lot of it can be internal. And a lot of people don't like to talk about what it is that's going on. So be kind to people, listen to people as you would want to be listened to, and you'd want people to be kind to you. And I think just appreciate the fact that you are still alive and breathing, and really, and I firmly believe this, but anything that you are going through, there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So if it seems dark right now and it seems like there's a lot going on, there's usually a better outcome on the other side of that.
Yes, and it reminded me of an old statement when they say it's always light at the end of the tunnel, just making sure it's not another train coming back through the tunnel.
Oh, that's something I didn't know there was a second part to that.
That's a second part to that. That's a little second part to that. But in all fairness, Sean, this pandemic hopefully has awakened people to reevaluate what's important to them. Mm-hmm. And please know, people, we understand getting up every day, going to have to go to work, whether you want to or not. We understand that part. I mean, because a lot of times I believe everybody should get more pay, period. You know, that's just my personal opinion, because there's more than enough wealth in this earth to be passed out for everybody to live a comfortable lifestyle. The way that our current economic system set up, everybody's not going to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire or even a millionaire. However, I think it's enough that everybody can live comfortably in their lifestyle, if possible. You know, if redirected with their value system.
That could be a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm just saying, so I just think it's important that we start to reevaluate, maybe reformat a newer infrastructure. Because as you said, as these things been passed down over and over and over again, what not now to start a new outlook on things? So maybe not in our lifetime that these things will be different, but in the future lifetime of those who are around, be different for them and the betterment of them. Because at the end of the day, I think God made us all here to love him first or her, depending on which gender y'all want to go with, or both, because I'm not opposed to that theory either. That you then love each other as equal. So again, people, we got a lot of work to do. I know we appreciate everybody that always take their time out of the day to come in and listen to us. We appreciate it. I know I do, and I can speak for Shy on this one.
Yes.
She does as well, and we don't want to hold you up. So any closing remarks?
As always, y'all, thank you for tuning into Chet Chats as we continue to figure out how to make our eyes on both of these screens. Thanks for bearing with us. We'll get it eventually one of these days.
Yes.
But thanks for tuning in, if not on Facebook, but on Instagram with us as well. If we did not get to your comments, all of our love is still out there for you. Like I said, they do come in a little bit quickly sometimes. But feel free to please definitely follow us on Instagram, Chet_chats, and on Facebook, Chet Chats. And we will catch y'all next week. Bye, guys. Thank you.